Good evening, guys. Mechanics of Materials, Chapter 10, Strain Transformation. In this problem, we have a solid square block which is embedded inside a larger yellow cube block, and a force concentrated load of P is applied at the top, and it induce a compressive pressure of P naught, which is force over the area of the inner square. We want to calculate the change in the length of inner square if both of them having the length of h. So delta h is h times epsilon y in the y direction, and due to the symmetry of a structure, epsilon x is equal to epsilon z in the plane. It's already confined with the bigger block, so epsilon x is 0, epsilon z is 0, and sigma y, which is the stress in the vertical direction, is negative uh, pressure of P over the area of inner block, which is P naught. We already defined it in the problem statement to be P naught. Based off Hooke's law, epsilon x is equal to 1 over E in bracket sigma x minus nu sigma z plus sigma y. And that goes to 0. Likewise, epsilon z goes to 0. And if we replace sigma y from here, P over the area is equal to negative P naught, the pressure. And then if epsilon x is equal to epsilon z, and they both are equal to 0, definitely 1 over is a constant, so this part should go 0. So if that's the case, sigma x minus nu times sigma z is equal to negative nu times p naught. Likewise, sigma z minus nu times sigma x is equal to negative nu times p naught. And again, due to symmetry, sigma x is equal to sigma z. They are both confined in the same situation, so their stresses are equal. So if we just replace sigma z, for example, in the first equation by sigma x, it just gives us a sigma x minus nu sigma x is equal to negative nu p naught. And by rearranging it, it just gives us sigma x times 1 minus nu is equal to negative nu p naught. And again, by rearranging that one, it just gives us sigma x is equal to negative p naught over 1 minus nu. Again, we do know from symmetry, sigma x is equal to sigma z equal to 0. So replace both of them like sigma x. If we just have sigma x in the equation, replace in the equation, and we already calculate sigma x comes from this equation, negative nu p naught over 1 minus nu. If we now replace it in the same equation, so this part stands for 2 of sigma x, negative nu times 2 sigma x, and it just turns our equation like epsilon y is negative p naught over e times 1 minus negative 2 nu squared over 1 minus nu. Rearranging that equation, it just gives us epsilon z is equal to negative p naught over e in bracket 1 minus nu minus 2 nu squared over 1 minus nu close bracket. And definitely delta h is the height itself times the epsilon in y direction. We already know what is. It should be epsilon y because we are talking about vertical distance, and we call that sigma y, epsilon y. Delta h is equal to h times epsilon y, and then delta h is negative p naught h over e times 1 minus nu minus 2 nu squared over 1 minus nu. And that's interesting because if you compare it to cylindrical block, which we already solved, uh, it just gives us a delta L is equal to this equation, And you can see for a cylindrical block, equation is almost a solid square block. The equation of delta H, here is also delta H, but we just showed by delta L, is very similar to that one, except this first part. So it just 1 minus nu minus 2 nu squared over 1 minus nu is remains the same in both of them, but the first part is has a little change, and that's an interesting comparison. Thank you. We'll solve more problems.